Liana, Tom, good to see you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Hello, thank you.
Tom, season twos are interesting, right? Because I feel like I love season ones. It's really interesting to me because it's like it's fresh for everyone. It's fresh for you because you've never played these characters before. It's fresh for the audience. What's it like for a season two coming back to that world, to that character specifically after kind of one refresher of season one?
Dude, I'll tell you, it was so strange when the first day being back on set for season two, we were sat in the same chairs on the same stage with the same set, the same people around, and it honestly felt like no time had passed, even though quite a few months had.
Mhm.
But I was just so happy to be back because you're right. In season one, you're all creating it. You're discovering what these things are. No one knows what this thing's going to be. Even
Yep.
the creator of it, he doesn't really know how this thing's going to be put together and created. So you're all discovering it. When you come back in season two, you kind of know more what works, and also on a very basic level, you know that people responded to it, that they liked it. So you think you kind of got the wind in your sails a little bit more. You know where you're going, you know how to steer the ship a little bit more. But the wind in your sails is the audience going, "We want more of this." So it makes you feel good about it, and then you kind of want to do justice to what they liked in the first one, but also give them something new because otherwise, why wouldn't they just go back and watch season one again? Which I
Yeah,
think we
absolutely. Yeah, there's got to be something. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think your character is still might or might not be a killer. I don't know.
He might, but this season he's got a man bun, so go figure.
Absolutely. Liana, I find it interesting because it's really cool because you look at a lot of really popular kind of genres of content these days. A lot of things are really popular in the horror movie thriller kind of genre, and a lot of things are very popular in the true crime component of things and podcasts. You've gotten to work in both those worlds, right? So I'm just wondering, what is that like working in those worlds of like Scream, The Beach House, and based on a true story at a time where there's a big appetite for that content? Do you think about that a lot? Because I find that interesting.
Yeah, I do. It wasn't intentional falling into all of this, the serial killer world, and I think it's interesting how different projects lean into it and lean into that obsession that we have. Something that I do enjoy about our show is that it is a little aware of itself. I was thinking about it earlier, and I was saying how I think this show really indulges like our intrusive thoughts, like everything that we kind of secretly wish we could try or lean into. This show puts the characters in that position, and I think that's why people are drawn to the show because we're like, oh, how would I react if I were in that situation? And then you get to watch it play out through Kaley or Chris or Tom or myself, and it's fun. I think ultimately, like the streamline through all of those projects is just trying to react and play as honestly as possible to what's happening to your character. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's well said. Well, that's a good segue, Tom, because I find it interesting, right? Because, the active audience member watching this show, kind of figuring it out, kind of like putting the detective hat on, who done it every episode. I'm wondering, because Tom, I know you try not to do this as an actor, but like, are you ever conscious of the audience member watching based on a true story while you're making it and filming? Or is that something that you just think of a little bit more when you wrap? Like, I know the answer is you try not to, but I feel like sometimes it's like, what are people going to say about this or that? You know what I mean? And maybe it slips in sometimes.
I think when you're creating anything, even what you're doing right now, interviewing us, there must be a part of you when you're talking, you try and stay present in the moment and just concentrate on what it is you're doing. But of course, you're creating something that you wish to share with other people. So of course, there should be an element of you aware of that. I come from the theatre. I did a lot of theatre when I first left drama school back here in London, and I find it so funny the conversations about method acting and people are like, oh, I'm so in it, not aware of the audience. Yes, you are. They're right there in theatre. You literally have 1,000 people. What you can hear them, smell them, you can feel them rustling, coughing. So you're always aware of an audience there. But particularly on a set like this, it's far easier, and it's one of the things I love about filming. It's far easier to forget that audience because really that audience is just that little black box in front of you that you tend not to look at or you're told not to look at. So for the most part, I don't. However, the tone of this show too, you want it to be entertaining. Like Liana said, you want it to be, it's an entertaining show that does for an audience what they kind of, that sort of, that itch that they want to indulge in. It does that. Therefore, you're aware sometimes when you do something, particularly from my character, if I'm scaring someone or being a little bit coy or fun or playing cat and mouse with someone, I want an audience to enjoy the scene dynamic. So there's an element of performance to it, which I think is appropriate to the character.
Absolutely. And Liana, super quick before we wrap up, so much happens before you go to camera on a project, right? Whether it's a film or a TV show like this, from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see it as two journeys, right? Before filming something and then after filming something, or do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
I think I think there's a little bit more room to play sometimes off camera. I think especially with this show, Tom and I kind of had an opportunity to dream into the origin and the growth of Matt and Tori's relationship. And then so it does feel a little separate because, there's more flexibility in the imagination. And then, you obviously have to stay true to the script once you get on camera. And just like you were saying, we are thinking about our audience and we want them to have fun and be entertained. And so there is less of a flexibility on camera, but I mean, ideally you hope that there's a streamline and it all just sort of blends together at the end.
Oh, so well said. Can't wait for people to see season 2 based on a true story on Peacock. Thank you both so much for your time. It was great chatting with you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.